Hi, it's Chris Watkin here, and I'm with Julian Dunbar, who's the COO of Lomand Capital, ex-director of Countrywide for Lettings, and also worked for Foxtons. Julian, as a man who's responsible for over 17,000 rental properties, what are the five things that do you love about the lettings industry? Talk to me.
There's lots of things that I love about the industry, which is why I've worked in it for many years and still do. I think the first is the people. As I'm sure you have, you work with some great people, and inevitably you keep in touch with them. And the reason you do that is because you are all in a position where you're working for the customer. You've got the same sense of service, and the industry is just full of good people. So I really enjoy that part of it, and that there's people that I'm in touch with now, professionally and socially, that I started with at Foxtons, who employed me at Foxtons. I think the second thing is the work ethic of the industry itself. We are, as anyone who works in it and has done in the past, we work very hard. We've got long hours. We really do put ourselves there for the customer.
How long have you been in lettings yourself?
I joined Foxtons in 2003.
Right. Were you in agency before then?
No, before then I was at uni, and then I did a year at Carphone Warehouse,
all right,
all things, and then at 20 decided I wanted to be an estate agent. My father at the time said, I live and grew up in London, and he said, if you're going to join an estate agency in London, make it Foxtons. So I did that. Was told I wasn't cut out to be an estate agent, but how about looking at property management and delivering service and that kind of thing, which was a great move for me. So I joined as a property manager, and then moved up to managing a team there for a few years.
I know we're going to talk about it in greater detail in another video, but do you think you made the right choice going into lettings and not sales? Because they are two different types of beasts, aren't they?
They are very different. I think so. I mean, I've not looked back. I cover sales, kind of the operational side from a business perspective now, and inevitably you're involved with sales, even if you're working in lettings or in property management. But for me, it fits. I don't know why that is, but I enjoy lettings. I enjoy property management, but I also appreciate estate agency heavily, having worked in it.
I think the estate agents could learn an awful lot from the lettings, because with lettings you're building up a long relationship with the landlord. Whilst with estate agents, I find it's very transactional, and it's get the deal done, and then the owner and the buyer goes into witness protection, and you never hear from them again.
That's probably true. Yeah, I think the good estate agents do keep in touch, and recognise that the cycle was, I think it still is every 7 or so years. People will move. And I think there is a little bit more now movement between, once people are on the ladder, they might rent for 6 months in moving into a new area. People that are renting still have the aspiration to buy, but equally they may stay in rental. So there is that kind of transient movement now, slightly more than there used to be. But in lettings, it's hugely important to retain clients, both throughout the relationship, the natural length of the tenancy perhaps, but also on an intro-only basis. When you do the transaction, you find a tenant, you introduce them, and then in theory you step away as a contracted agent, but keeping in touch with the client and the tenant.
Because I know in another video that we're going to do in a bit, we're going to talk about how to retain landlords. So we could probably go into a lot more detail on that one. What's your third thing that you like about the lettings industry?
And this is both lettings and sales, and potentially more sales, you could argue, is the impact that we have on clients and customers. There's not many sectors that physically move people from one home to another, whether that's through upgrading, through relocation. I mean, that's huge.
Well, you're moving one person from one chapter of their life to another.
Yeah.
Do you think we, as an industry, realise the power or the difference we make in people's lives?
As a business, certainly the businesses I've worked at and work in, we talk about that, and talk about that will improve service levels if you continually remind yourselves that the positive impact you can have, but then also if it goes wrong, the negative. And you're moving one person, you could be moving a whole family, schools, parents, I mean, that's huge. And doing that as smoothly as possible. It's a very, very tough journey.
Well, I mean, obviously you're responsible for quite a number of offices and a lot of properties. What do you teach your team how to instill that, to make sure that works and actually has a positive impact?
I think it's well, you can tackle it in lots of different areas. I think communication is hugely important. I know, both personally and professionally, when you're moving house, it's expensive, it's emotional, it's stressful, and it's exciting. So you want to be kept in touch with progress and what's happening, and how you can, as a customer, how you can help the journey and improve the speed and the likelihood of it being a success. So I think just constantly communicating with clients and customers and setting expectations, it's not going to be easy, but we'll walk you through it. This is what we do.
Do you think we as an industry could be better at it?
I expect so. Yeah. I mean, again, there's agents that are extremely good, and pockets of bigger agencies that are extremely good at communicating, and kind of reminding themselves that actually they're physically moving people from home to home. But yeah, I think overall as an industry, that's something that we are continually improving and reflecting on, and actually using technology as well as people. That becomes slightly easier.
Okay. What's your fourth point?
Fourth point is PropTech technology, which we're going to talk about a little bit later on. But I think some people's view on PropTech is that it's replacing people, and actually what it should do is allow the people to do whatever they want to do, such as communication and making processes efficient, but also it supports the people side of the business and the businesses, rather than replacing and becoming faceless.
Do you think a lot of people are using it as an excuse to get rid of staff and save money then?
Potentially. I mean, there's a lot that's hit the industry, and inevitably some agents have had to make those difficult decisions. But I think you kind of reshape your business rather than lose a load of people and put a piece of kit in place.
Do you have particular favourite types of PropTech? No, let's leave that one to the PropTech.
But yeah, let's
leave it. And what's the fifth and final thing you love about the industry?
I think it's the constant need to evolve. As we know, more people are renting. The average age of renters is increasing. There's more families that are renting now than ever have been. Buildings are changing, regulations changing, people's needs and demands and how they work and operate changes. So, as an industry, we need to try and keep up with that. And I quite enjoy that. The only constant is change. That whole thing.
But let's be frank, most letting agents tend to be more systems orientated and more inward as opposed to outward. They like everything detailed and correct, and they're not very good at change. How do you influence them?
I suppose, to influence anyone, you have to show them the benefit of what you're trying to achieve, bring them on the journey, and involve them. It's not just a case of dictating this is what we need to go from A to B. It's we need to go from A. How do you think we get to B? And what's your interpretation? But you deal with the clients and customers more than what I do anymore. But in any business, again, in any sector, it's difficult because people have got a day job, and anything that in the short term feels like that you're taking them away from that is detrimental. I love the fact that as an industry we continue to evolve.
Well, in the next video, I'd like to talk about the 3 things that you don't like and you would change about the letting industry. Is that okay?
Of course, sounds good.
Lovely. Thank you
Great,
very much.
thanks, Chris.
Cheers.